Welcome to Mick and the Psychic, where we leave no stone unturned as we explore all things outside the apparent physical realm.
There is no intent to teach or make you believe or disbelieve anything. It is just a safe space to listen and explore with us.
So for this next episode, you have permission to open your heart and mind as you join myself and Xavier on this deep dive into the unknown.
I asked to speak to their higher self, their spirit guides, their angels and guides, their galactic family, their loved ones that have passed away, all of those people. I actually build a bridge between myself and those people.
So we are back in this thing with another episode of Mick and the Psychic, and we bloody missed each other and we bloody missed you. So this is going to be a lot of fun because we're kicking the podcast back off with a very dear friend of the show and a very dear friend of ours, Charles Lowrey. Charles, oh my gosh, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
It is good to be back. Now, I was going to do an intro. Like, you have been on the show before, and we did go through a whole lot of background, but some people may be listening for the first time at Charles and going, who is this cat? Good question. But basically, his spiritual journey started in 2013. Jump in when I start getting things wrong, Charles. I'm not
You're
reading
doing well. You're doing
right
really
off
well.
the top of my head. I promise I'm not reading.
Memorized. I love it.
I'm not reading it from a Word document. So he started training in energy healing, roughly 2014, tarot reading, registered the business name Marty Moon, which you see at the bottom of his screen there, studied Reiki levels 1 and 2, straight into quantum, is it quantum, what's QHHT again?
QHHT, quantum healing hypnosis technique.
Thank you, quantum healing hypnosis technique, and then just went through all the levels of that, and then started doing spiritual tours because his background was the host with the most to the stars, and he just turned into doing spiritual tours and then doing things like studying Palawa. We talked about that last time. Make sure you go back into that episode. Pretty crazy, and we did actually do a Palawa session. Thank you so much, Charles. That was amazing. I still remember it.
Yes.
Seikam, all sorts of other things, past life assimilation, lots of other tours. And then what you did, spirit circles, then teaching courses, in all sorts of things, tarot, that sort of stuff as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, I've just released next month, I've released this year's classes already.
Yeah, so
I think I'm only going to do them like once. So I thought, I don't do the markets in winter. Okay. So winter's going to be the training season. So I think since we spoke last, I bit the bullet and I decided to go and do Palawa level 3.
Oh, wow.
With the attunements. And then that allows me to teach Palawa. So people that don't know what Palawa is, I'm going to give you a quick rundown. It's a beautiful energy healing technique that will bring your physical, spiritual, and emotional bodies together like a sandwich. So if you're not dealing with something in one of those bodies, it's going to push it out through your physical. So now I can teach that. We taught that last year after I had my certification. And one of the ladies was pregnant. She didn't tell anyone. And it was like, oh my goodness gracious, we were playing with 2 souls in one person. And it was amazing. And the woman that was practicing and learning got so much. And it was just the most amazing session. So I'm running it again. So it's energy is the most amazing thing. And I encourage everybody to start learning about energy because it's the future. It's the future of healing.
I love that.
Yeah. then we can do so much with it because your mind is energy. You can create thoughts with your mind. So you've got to be really conscious about what you're thinking about because what you're thinking about, you're giving energy to. When you're giving it energy, you're creating that. So I always say to my customers, be very mindful of what you ask the universe for because it's always listening and it will bring it in for you.
Exactly. Everyone's really good at manifesting. And they go, when I say that to someone, I say, you're the best at manifesting. They're like, but I have bad things and bad luck happen. I'm like, what do you think about?
Because they're asking for it all the time.
Yes. Or you're complaining about something that's not good and then you're just attracting more of the same.
Correct.
It's really important. If we could just get that through to everybody.
And look, that's the biggest thing. And I find people get so frustrated. People are frustrated after COVID, but people get so frustrated if there's a delay in something or they have to wait. They've lost patience. Yes. And I always say to my customers, everything happens for a reason. So think of it like this. You're not to know why things were delayed or why your plane might have been delayed, but it's always in your highest good just to flow with it. Don't fight it.
I have a client in Spain, and he runs a future writing course, not course, like group.
Yeah.
And they write like when something's going to happen and what's happening. And so they think about it, they write it out, and they share it with each other and comment with each other. And he said a big part of that process is keeping track of things and talking about it, because so many things actually come true and happen. And if they weren't to write it and be part of that group, they probably wouldn't have paid attention to all of the things that they did consciously manifest.
Correct.
Otherwise, it may just happen, and then their awareness of it actually happening probably wasn't there. So they can enjoy it again and build confidence from, oh, wow, we did actually, you know, consciously be aware of what we manifested.
Correct. And people forget that every day. Like, I often go to the shops. It's like, I need to go and buy X, Y, Z. And they're saying to me today, go to the shop today. Okay. All of a sudden it's 25% off, or it's 30% off. It's like, yes, thank you, universe. You just saved me, you know, X amount of dollars.
Who's they telling you when to shop?
Yes, I love it. And it's so good. And I go and buy, like, I'm on keto. So I go and buy keto ice cream. It's like, yes, Charles, it's 30% off. So I go and buy 4 tubs, you know. So I'm worth my while. But I always listen, because you're always getting guidance or messages, whatever it might be. And this is what we're creating. But we put the thoughts out, but we've got to make sure we listen to them when they come back in as well. It's very special.
I think that the hardest part of that, I think we're, and as you guys know as well, I'm not a real kind of manifest kind of person. It doesn't mean I don't like believe it exists, but you know me, I'm not sitting in front of a mirror and making something happen.
We don't either.
Consciously aware. Like I think one of the things is with anything, and probably manifestation as well, is that if you are going to honestly manifest something, you have to be open to what the outcome is going to be, like really open to it. And I think that's where, like, trying to just control a whole lot of stuff and actual manifestation, like there's got to be some kind of intuition with what you're manifesting, surely, rather than just having a shopping list, because can't you just lead yourself into an oblivion?
Can I give you an example of a manifestation that I did? And I actually, when I manifest, I just throw it out. Okay. I create it, and then I just forget it and throw it out, right?
Okay.
After I did 26 years at Qantas, and I was looking after all of their frequent flyers and their platinum members, it's like I said to the universe, I'm going to be platinum one day. I'm going to be platinum one day. I'm going to America in a few weeks, and it's going to take me to platinum status with Qantas. It's
Are you serious?
Serious.
Wow.
I left Qantas 9 years ago. But I set that intention. I'm going to be one of those people that walked into where I worked and, you know, checked in and got to go to the lounge. And I said that to the universe, I want this. And I forgot about it. And then all of a sudden, the dice have all fallen in a beautiful way for me this year, that all of my trips happened at once. And it allowed me to become platinum without really even trying or really even planning. It just happened. And it's like, yes, universe, now you know, now we're playing, let's go.
And you get the royal treatment.
Correct. So that was me 9 years ago saying, this is what I want, put it out to the universe, and then forgot about it. And then it's not until I, you know, I'm getting to that, it's like, hold on a minute, I remember asking for this when I left, here it comes.
So what if you wanted it faster? Like, would it inhibit it micromanaging it and saying you want it this year?
You have no control over timelines and time.
Okay. This is making more, this makes a bit more rational sense to me.
Yeah.
So the universe will bring it to you when it's in your highest good to have it. Does that make sense? Yes. So I could want it now. I could want it yesterday. And the universe is saying, I'm not playing that game, because it's not in your highest good to have it at that point in time. There's no appreciation for it, or you haven't worked hard for it. I'm going to give it to you when you need it, or when it suits you the best for the timeline that you're on. Yeah. So you can try.
Helps you in your path, maybe that's already kind of like, that makes sense.
I understand it. And then I had to go and do all of these different things to get to that. And then it's really interesting. When you invest in yourself, the universe says, well done. I'm going to bring it to you now. And then off we go. So, it's really interesting what you can create for yourself.
Sounds a bit like a petulant child. It's like, no, you don't tell me what to do. I'm going to do it when I feel like it.
And that's the universe to a T. We want, and as human beings, we want things. We want it now. We've lost that art of, lay-by and patience and stuff like that. It'll happen.
You lay-bys.
Prayer on lay-by.
Nobody lay-by. It's afterpay. It's instant. And the universe says, Doesn't work that way. It's not how life is supposed to be.
I always had, so I was brought up in Christian church, and I haven't thrown out the baby with the bathwater, but I've thrown out a lot of what was in the bath. There's barely a bath there.
Bless.
But one of the real problems I had with prayer was particularly when there would be like some kind of incident or something that's happened, and they would have prayer groups and people would get together and they'd say what they're praying for. And there was the whole ask and you shall receive. And they were praying for this or this person be healed or this or that. And I always had a problem with it because I'm like, how do you know what is best here? Like you're asking for something. How do you know who are we to be saying what should be happening here when, not because we're not special, not because we're not not because we're lower beings, but because we've got a perspective as a human being of our own existence and what's happening. And what we're praying for is something part of something like way, way, way beyond what we could ever intellectually put together. So I always had a problem with that of like, how do you think you know what you even want? You know, like when I was a kid, I'd want this. When I was in my 20s, I want to win the lottery. Like, you know, all of this different stuff. And it's like, oh, shit, I'm glad I didn't.
But it's
You know?
interesting. I hear you, Michael. I hear you, because the universe will make an assumption. If it's not an assumption, I'll take that back. The universe will give it if it's in that person's highest good to receive that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Yeah.
I can give you an example of a client who had a relative in hospital, and he actually put out a call. You know, I want people to do this. I want people to create this. And he, this woman was in intensive care, and then she got miraculously, she had a quick recovery, and that was great for an instant. And then not long thereafter, she unfortunately passed away. So, you know, what they created was possibly an element of time, but it didn't change that outcome. Does that make sense? Because the universe already had other plans for what the outcome would be. So the universe will give, I feel it would give it, if it's in that person's highest good, for where they were in their journey of life or on the timeline that they were currently traveling on.
Exactly. Like, because you might want to, you know, it's nice to wish someone healing and wellness, but you don't know if something that they signed up for before they came was to learn to get through that challenge, like an illness or an ailment, and they're supposed to learn to be able to deal with it maybe in a positive way or something like that. And if you just take it away and heal it, they're gonna have to do their lesson. It's gonna come back, or
I also
the
think
next life, maybe not this life.
There's longer timelines to things as well. Not everything's in a neat bow in one lifetime or one little story. Maybe this is part of a much grander thing that has to happen. And the thing I found was powerful in people with prayer was when they would pray with not just open hands, but like metaphorically open hands to say, whatever will be done, you know, and that kind of prayer was so much more powerful than people saying, I want this, and may this happen, and may that happen. And I think it's the same kind of thing, surely, with manifestations. Like, I want this, I want that tomorrow, and I want that, and then I want to do that. You're putting a blinker on possibilities that are beyond your imagination.
I agree. And I usually ask the universe, give me what's in my highest good. Give me what I need now. I don't usually go and ask for, like, I threw out that platinum thing because that was something that I thought I needed to have at that point in time. You know, I thought that's my reward for all that hard work, all that shift work. But I was a flippant remark and I threw it out, and it's becoming a reality. But I always ask the universe, whatever's in my highest good, bring it to me. Whatever I can deal with at this point in time, bring it to me.
Love it.
So that's how I roll. There's no expectation for anything. I say to people, be very careful about what you ask for, because sometimes your manifestations are roadblocks to other things happening. You know, so you've got to be really, really mindful, really, really careful about what you put out there. But this is the journey of life. This is the fun we have. This is where people have to understand how powerful we actually are. And with all of my different healing techniques, this is what people have forgotten. You know, they're born into this world, and it's like when they're born, they've gone through amnesia. So they've forgotten absolutely everything about who they are, what their souls can achieve, and what potential they have and what they can create on this planet. And that's where the QHHT comes in, because we're very blessed that we can take them to a state other than physical state where they can see their actual amazingness. That's not even a word, but they can actually see how amazing they actually are and how they can create. And what I find with the QHHT does, it actually brings a perspective back into this lifetime that I've not got to take this life too seriously. Human beings take life way too seriously, and they've got to actually take a step back and breathe and just bring the fun back to life. Because when you look at it from a quantum healing perspective, there's so much more playing out on such a bigger scale, like you said before, Michael, with the time. This is just an insignificant
fraction of
correct.
Perhaps something much bigger and more important.
This is the minuscule. This is a split second. Our 100 years of life could be a split second in a soul's evolution over billions of years. So
on different planets and different, like, who knows? Yeah.
And that's where the QHHT really comes in. So what I really find is I'm very blessed with a cross-section of customers that come and do QHHT. So those that are not spiritually aware will often just stay in this physical body. I've had people that stay in this lifetime because there's stuff they need to deal with and reconcile in this lifetime already. Other people that are more spiritually aware, and actually you've seen this because this was you when we did ours, they go to other dimensions of time and space. They go to other planets. I've had people that are energy. About a month ago, I had a woman, she was with Source. And the hard part was when she was with Source, she didn't want to leave.
I'm going to say she wasn't coming back,
She wasn't coming back.
That's what happens, isn't it? They never
That's what she said to me. She said, it's too beautiful. I don't want to come back. And I just said to her, okay, this is great. Take a screenshot in your head of what this is, and you can come back at any time. But you need to come back and we need to move on to your next lifetime. And then we did. But that's the thing. The more people are open to believing how amazing they are, that's where the higher self, because the higher self controls their session. That's where it says, you're right, you're ready to see? I'm going to show you. Let's go. And then off we go.
Yeah. I find that altered states of consciousness, and maybe this is with being a psychic, it's like being a psychic is so much about trust, Opti, like, your whole path of becoming a very powerful psychic has been a path of getting yourself out of the way and just trusting.
Yes.
Not everyone has that. I don't know. I've read your book, so I'm presuming that's what it is. Do you want to hold it up? Because, you tried to start.
Not my interview, man.
But it's, see, there you go. Look at that. The book straight away. Can't believe you actually had your book there. No, I do.
I do have my book.
But it's one of those things where with an altered state of consciousness, when you really step into that zone, your perspective shifts from the person to something much bigger. So you don't actually have you don't have the blinkers on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're smashed away because you're at a different perspective.
Yes.
So that's where all of that kind of just blows right out and beyond your own kind of existence. You just take it, those blinkers are taken off.
That's what people have to do, because when they do that, they understand there's a much bigger picture for them, their evolution as a human being, their soul's ascension to where it needs to grow so that it doesn't have to come back to this planet, because this is the most dense planet out of all of the planets to learn on. So when they do that, they can understand there's a much bigger picture. I have to take a chill pill on this planet and just enjoy the experience, learn what I need to learn, try not to create any karma so then I don't have to clear it by coming back and doing another lifetime. Off we go. But you're so right. Exie will know. The more you trust as a psychic, the more you trust what you're getting, and it could be the most ridiculous thing you're seeing.
Challenges all the time.
Correct.
They always still get tested all the time.
They do. And they push you. And it's like, I'm going to say it, but it sounds stupid.
Yeah.
But when you trust it, the customer will actually receive it. And it's like, that makes complete sense to me. Because I usually say to them, this is going to sound weird, but I'm going to say it anyway. Bang, out it comes.
I find $1 for every time I said that.
Same. And that's the key. So I say it to them. Yeah. And I said to one woman one day, and this is just before Christmas, beautiful soul in her 60s. And I said, it's like you're just unzipping this suit that you wear as the woman, and a man that's galactic beings about 10 foot tall just stepped out. I said, that might sound so stupid to you. She goes, that makes complete sense to me.
Awesome.
Did
you get that? You think they explain it to you in a way that when you explain it to them, they understand? Like, so I've got analogies that are like, this is really weird, and I've never given this example before, but blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that it makes perfect sense to me because, and they might give me an example. And I'm like, all right, great. So you just say whatever pops in your head.
Yeah. And words. I often get words that I wouldn't use in my vocabulary, but they say to me, use this word. So they just drop the word into my head, give it to your customer,
Ooh,
and you go bang with that word. And it's like, oh, yes, that makes complete sense to me. It's like, great, thank you, universe. So
Do you think that helps with you guys as well at times with confirmation for yourself, just to keep you going, okay, cool, just trust it? Like, are there
it's
little
nice.
things
It's
to
always
help
nice
you?
to see them nodding and getting it. Like, yeah, we think we'd get to a stage, or I don't know, this for you too, Charles. But now I'm like, look, I don't need the confirmations anymore because I completely trust. Like I'm, and you know, it took a long time to get there, but completely trust now. But it's still nice to get it sometimes. Just for me, I say it's for shits and giggles. Like it's just nice to
enjoyment.
go, yeah, it's like entertaining. I'm like, wow, that is so cool. Like, or I joke and I go, point for me, awesome. Yeah,
no, but it's
like
true.
just making sure you understand how cool that was, because like, yeah, just
But
mucking
it's
around.
great when the customer also acknowledges that too. And they
Yeah.
go, I get that. That makes complete sense to me. So there are so many, actually, you'd be the same. When I do a healing session, like if it's just an energy healing session, there are so many energies that want to come and play with that customer. So, you know, they set the intention by booking with a healer like Exie or myself or you, Michael. They set the intention. The higher self knows, okay, we're going to go and do this. And then they bring in the whole team of people. I've had uncles, aunties, parents, grandparents, children, spirit guides, religious figures that these people talk to. I even said to a woman the other day, I said, I've got Genghis Khan here. And he's like, Genghis Khan, you know, is not the most spiritual of beings.
Wasn't popular.
Yeah. And she goes, that makes complete sense to me because I've got a Mongolian oracle deck and he's one of the cards. And I was playing with it today. It's like, yes.
Beautiful. That's all she needed. And
that's
I think it opens them up because you give them this little confirmation. It seems like entertainment purposes, but it's not, because it's opening them up more to be more receptive, and then more will come out as well because they're not so.
And for that customer, that was the validation that she needed. That was the oracle deck where she's going to get more wisdom from.
Beautiful.
So she could connect with that deck on a stronger level, and then more stuff wants to come for her. So you just trust, and you just trust irrespective of what comes, and off you go.
I find it still hard. So I'm not psychic. I don't have those.
You are, but you just don't trust it.
I'm not.
We don't need to do it as a job. Whatever. We're all psychic.
Okay. I'm not a practicing psychic.
That's it.
Is that all right?
Yeah. Yes.
I'm not consciously aware of practicing as a psychic. Oh my gosh, this interview is going to go for a long time. But
one day.
Yeah, that's right. But I find that whole trusting as well is like really interesting. Even when you're facilitating, like with hypnosis as well, often what will come up for people, they'll be like, oh, this doesn't make sense, or, you know, I've come in for this and then this is happening. And it's really important to trust, to know that that higher self is running things. And often it'll just go off on some crazy direction. You're like, oh, well, you know, I don't know what's going on here, but that didn't work. Or there's obviously a different agenda here and something more important. And it'll just go off this crazy direction and come exactly back around. You're like, oh my, like you couldn't make that up. You couldn't write it. I had a client where she was, because I have different ways of working. So we knew that this was going to be an ancestral life, not something that I'd put in, but something that had come to her through a couple of different methods I do. And so she went and she was on grass and, oh, it feels like England. She was from England. I'm like, okay, cool. And she's like, oh, I'm a little girl and blah, 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 and described what she was wearing. It wasn't clothes that she'd had. So it's like, cool, ancestral life. She's from England. That's great. And she's like, oh, and you can see her just shaking her head like this. And I'm like, oh, what is it? And she's like, oh, I can see my school where I went to school. She goes, but maybe it's just a school. This is where they try and rationalize. Yes. Maybe it's just a school. And, you know, I'm just, because it's England. I'm like, that's okay. And because I know these weird things happen, I'm like, just go with it. Don't worry, don't question it. Just go with it. What is it? And she's like, it is my school. I'm in there. It's this and that. And then she's like, oh my God, it's my auntie. Her auntie went to the same school as her. So she was like nearly ready to block it and go, oh, no, this isn't an ancestral life. That's in my school. And she was like going there. She's like, oh my gosh, my auntie. And I actually said, did your auntie go to the same school as you? And she's like, actually, I think she did. She's like, oh wow. And the whole thing, it was her auntie. It was
Exactly.
exactly what she needed, you know, for what was going on.
Yeah.
Like there's weird things that happen that come back around. You've just got to trust, like you say this all the time, Charles, trust the process, trust the process. It's one of those things,
And
isn't it?
it's
Like
true.
you don't know
It's-
where it's going to go.
Correct. And that's the thing. So I always say to my customers, I say, you're in complete control because your higher self brought you here. Your higher self knows what you need to know. And your higher self is going to take you on a journey that will actually give you a bigger picture. So
Yeah.
irrespective of what
Take
we
you
might
out
have,
of what you think. Yeah.
correct. We might have a preconceived idea of where we want this to go. But what happens is that you get the curveball in, it's like, okay, I'm just going to follow that wherever that might go. And it's for my customer's highest good at all times. So let's follow that. Let's explore that. And that's what I say to my customers. I say, I'm like a journalist sometimes, or a detective. I get a little bit of information like this, and then I want this much wisdom from it. So why is that happening? Why do we have to do that? How does that work? What's the benefit of that?
What's this got to do with,
Yes.
you know, the whole thing that you're here for?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then the customer gets such a bigger experience, and they have more understanding of why they're going through certain experiences in this lifetime, or why they had to go through this death, or whatever it was. And it's very interesting when you say to somebody, I'm going to take you to your death in previous lifetimes so you can see how you die. And then at the end of it, and you bring them out of the hypnotic stage, and they say, I understand why I get headaches, or I understand why I've got a sore arm because I was shot, or whatever it might be. So they put it all together, and you just think, yes, it was just all worthwhile. And when their higher self comes in, oh my God, you see the tears, you get the emotions, and they're in such disbelief that they're talking to this part of themselves that sits in spirit, and it's offering them instantaneous healings. It's offering them their questions, their answers to their questions, and why and how, and all of these amazing things. It's mind-blowing. Even for me, I've done over 500 hours of them now, and even for me, it's just like, whoa. I had one woman about 3 weeks ago. She went to the future because she was asking for things, and she went back to other lifetimes, and they brought her into this lifetime, but not in the current, like where she was in her age now. It was like 3 or 4 years down the road ahead of us.
Wow.
And they showed her that. And I said, why did you show her that? Why was that important for her to see that? Well, she needs to see that what she's working towards is coming for her. So she doesn't have to give up hope, but she needed to see, and she needed to hold the faith that this is happening for her. It's just not happening on the timeline she wants. It's happening on the timeline we're creating.
Everyone's going to book in for that to see the future, but their higher self will just let them like do it.
And that's exactly what it is. I have no control. So this is the disclaimer. I have no control on where you go, what you see. Your higher self controls that, not me.
That's right.
I always say that I'm the bus driver and your higher self is the tour guide. So if you go somewhere you didn't want it to go, don't blame me. I'm just driving the bus.
Correct.
I just go wherever the higher self tells me.
I agree, Michael.
Their higher self tells me to go. You know what I mean? So blame yourself.
Yes.
It's a good disclaimer, gets me out of trouble.
It's good.
Particularly when they have a hard session they didn't want to have.
Yes.
But in the long run, it's better.
Yes.
But in the meantime, you know, not fun. With you guys have mentioned a couple of times today, I can't let you get away with that. Who do you, because you might not know, who do you perceive as they? They tell me. You say the universe, and then you say they tell me. Who's this? Who's they?
That's a really good question.
Or what is they? Or both? Yeah.
So I'll give you an example, and if you want to give yours after that. When I meditate before my customers come in, I ask to speak to their higher self, their spirit guides, their angels and guides, their galactic family, their loved ones that have passed away, all of those people. I actually build a bridge between myself and those people so that they've got a clear channel to come in and talk to me and give me whatever this person needs to know for the timeline that they are on. So I usually speak to that. So that's a whole plethora of spiritual beings that want to come in and talk to my customers. So that's the intention that I set before I have a session. That could be tarot, clairvoyant healing, Palawa, QH, HT, Sekim. It's the same. I'm trying to connect with those people.
Love that. And everyone has their own styles. I feel really lazy now because I don't do any of that before I start.
Well,
you're already plugged in.
Like, no, everybody is. Like, it's just that's his routine and that's how he does it. He's asking for everything possible. I say, when I have a client, I just say I'm talking to your higher self. But in saying that, I feel like your higher self is knows everything and they're already connecting and one in this. I'm like, we're all one. It's all coming to the same place anyway. We're all connected to source. So source, your higher self, maybe all your angels and guides. Because sometimes when I'm doing specific healing, I might get to a spot and I say a god or a goddess will come through or a spirit animal. That's because there's a specific message around that. But generally, it's all being sent from your higher self or your source is how I see it. So to me, it's all one and the same. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
But I've stated
No, I
that
hear you.
for years. Yeah.
I think I've just been, I'm a Taurian, so structure is very important to
Oh
me.
yeah, I love
And if
that.
I don't have structure, I'm going to fall apart. So
I love it.
routine. Even when I was learning it, and the instructor would say to me, "Do you want the quick version or the long version of the induction?" It's like, I want the long version. I need to memorize it, memorize. And that's what I've done. And what's actually happened for me is it's evolved over time, because I used to not ask for timeline-specific information. And it would give me information for my customers, but sometimes it wasn't on the timeline that they currently found themselves on. It was a timeline that was coming to them in 18 months or 2 years. So now I'm really specific in as much as I'll ask for, I want the information for the timeline they currently find themselves on now, not for what's coming in the future or 10 years or another lifetime. Give it to me for where they're at now so that they get what they want now.
One thing I've found in all of my hypnotherapy is when you look at techniques of induction, I don't have a plan of what I'm going to do to induct each client. It just depends on the client, and I just do what they need, because I know there's billions of ways to help someone enter an altered state of consciousness. That is like nothing for me. I could teach someone how to do hypnosis in a couple of hours. That's not hard. The hardest thing is your language.
Yes.
And I think the thing that's involved for me over thousands of hypnotic sessions has been my language and how I talk. And it's only been through when I've asked something else. It's almost like talking to an 8-year-old child. You know, they'll just be like, give you like an answer and you're like, that's not what I was asking. You know, you've got to be really specific and careful and not leading and open. And because if you're leading with a question, it'll just give an answer and it's like, oh, that's not even what they needed. You know, so it's like, isn't that funny that like you're questioning with whatever, this is the thing, this is what I'm asking, what is this high self,
whatever the energy,
or healing beings, or whatever these energy beings are.
Everything is energy.
You've got to be really specific with how you speak to them, because they will just give an answer.
And I think you're right, Michael. That's the biggest thing that I've learned in 10 years is language.
Yeah.
For me, I have to really sit with what I ask for, and I've got to be specific about what I ask for when I'm doing a healing or something like that. But then when I get the messages coming in, I've also got to be specific with language that I use to the customer. And sometimes what you find is you're getting, it's really hard to explain, because you're getting it like a download energetically, and then you've got to decipher that and put it into a word. And sometimes the English language doesn't have a word for what you're feeling. So you've then got to describe what you're feeling so that you can say to your customer, this is what it feels like, this is what it's like, and this is what I want you to have. But language is the most important thing. But that's for everyday life as well. Language is power. Words are power. So words can be very cutting. You can pull somebody apart by just saying something horrible to them. So you've really got to be careful with what your language is and how you speak and how you project. It's very interesting. But that's the biggest thing I've learned in 10 years, trust and language. It's really interesting. And that's the best part, because we learn ourselves. And this is what people often will say to me. Do you feel like, Charles, some of that healing is, or the messages you're getting are for you as well? Of course. There's wisdom in everything we do. Yep.
Sometimes I've received messages with the person. So whenever I work with people in trance, they remember everything that they've been through. I keep there. I hold the space, and probably the only suggestion I put in is that their conscious thinking mind just has the job of observing what's going on and being able to communicate. So that everything else will just happen by itself. So it's like teaching someone to be training or coaching someone to be a trusting psychic themselves. That's basically all you do as a hypnotherapist.
Yes.
But with that, I think there's been times where someone, when they're speaking to another being or having information and I've asked a question, they've answered directly to me. And I've actually had to say, is this for me or is this for blah, 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 you know, the client? And they'll say it's for you. And then I'll speak to them afterwards and they will say, and I'll say, did you know that, you know, this was said? When you said that, did you recognize that? Well, I don't even remember that. They don't remember it.
I don't remember that part. Yeah.
And that happens in, so I know Dr. Brian Weiss's books,
Yes.
when he first started doing it, with his stuff, I think that's happened before with, so QHHT was
Dolores would have had that.
Did that happen with her
I
as
was
well?
just thinking that used to happen to
But I
Dolores.
think a lot of Dolores ones, they didn't even, there would be whole sessions where they didn't remember anything.
That's exactly
why she
right.
recorded them all, because it's like, But isn't that interesting, like that some of the messages are even for the, and I would be kind of, at the start, I used to be like a bit annoyed. I'm like, this isn't about me, this is about my client.
Yeah, you
I'm
feel
getting
bad.
paid. Like, I
don't need extra info.
I appreciate it. It's amazing. And I've learned a lot, but it's like, and I think that teaches you to be very gracious as a therapist as well, because you know you're in the presence of the true person, the true being in front of you, not just the person with a name and a background.
Yes.
Showing your client that too, to think of it's a bigger picture. Not everything is about the little bubble of their life too. They're going there for a session and then they're getting stuff for you too, because we're all one and we're all just as important, and you know, information that needs to be shared is getting snuck out there. I think I love that when I've done platform events and you put messages out there for the people in the audience, but everyone resonates with it, even if it's specific for that person. There's something in there for everybody, and they'll all go, even if like not everyone in the room gets a reading, they've felt like they've picked up some real great nuggets of information that's really helped them, because it's great advice as well to help raise your vibration and be happier. So yeah.
And that's the key, sharing of wisdom, the wisdom.
Yeah.
That's why stuff like this is so important, because what we're doing here is we're having a conversation that people can listen to and understand that I can do these things for myself. I can go and have a healing. I can go and have a hypnosis. I can open up.
Learn how to do it.
Correct. They can learn how to do it. Trust me, I was such a left brainer that if you had said to me 25 years ago, this is what I'm going to be doing, I would have said, you're on drugs. See you later. There's no way I'm doing that spiritual woo-woo.
That's ironic, because 25 years ago, I was on drugs.
There you go.
I'm joking.
No,
You're not psychic. I love it, Michael. I love it. No, that's the key. That's the key. Anybody can do this, but they've just got to be open, willing, and ready to be the best versions of themselves, without excuses, without labels. There's no labels. We don't label ourselves, but you come without judgment. I think that's the key for finding a really good healer, is find somebody that's not going to judge you, that doesn't care about what it is you do or how you look or how you dress.
Yeah.
That's irrelevant. What we want to do is make sure that you walk away empowered, knowing where your life's going, knowing how to get to where you're going. That's the key for me. That's what I look for. So, yeah, it's really interesting. I did see something on Instagram this afternoon. I didn't really like it. Healing is the new hustle. And I was like, yeah, that's what I saw. It's like healing is the new hustle. And I have to say to people, be very studious about where you put your energy, okay? Don't just give it to anybody to play with.
Yeah. Oh, man. Things we've had to undo, haven't we? I think you've even sent me before, like we have to undo things that they have bad experiences with people that are full of crap.
Yes.
Like, trust your intuition.
Correct, love.
Maybe they did, and they had to have a lesson, so it wasn't.
But there could have been a lesson for them as well. I often find people want to go and learn healing modalities as well. So I used to work with people that became a Reiki master, and then before they've practiced it too much, they went and taught it. And it's like, no, I suggest if you're going to go and invest your money in classes, ask the facilitator, how often have you done this? How many years have you practiced this? What experiences have you had? Find out what they've got, because there are a lot of people that will try and do things, and they're doing it with the best intention, don't get me wrong, but when they don't have the wisdom behind them to back it up in case there's a problem.
Good examples.
It's exactly right. You can get really in trouble with that. So energy is precious. Where you place your energy is very precious. So do your homework. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. Simple.
Love it.
Yeah, it's very true. And you do pick up on that sort of stuff. I think, you know, if you're doing martial arts, you're doing karate, you did karate for 6 months. Doesn't mean now you can teach other people karate up to the 6-month period. You won't have a clue because you don't know all of the other stuff or the context of where what you've learned is from. So it is important to look at people that have been around for a long time. I don't teach anything, and I've done thousands of sessions, and I don't teach hypnosis to people.
See, I
Do you know
wouldn't
what I mean?
either. I wouldn't either.
It's just
I've done
like,
it since,
you know,
yes.
do I know what I'm doing? Yeah, I know what I'm doing. But I'm not going to teach others. So I think it's going to be one of those, it's going to be one of those things where I think you've just got to do, like anything, do your research. My Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coach, he's hilarious. Whenever I do something stupid, he'd laugh at me and go, "What the hell was that?" And he'd always say things like, "Practice makes perfect." And he goes, "That's complete rubbish. Perfect practice makes perfect. Stop practicing it the wrong way,
Yes.
or
Yeah,
you'll just
fair
be
enough.
really good at doing it wrong."
I was
And
gonna
it's
say,
so
you're really good at being
true.
cute. Yeah.
Yes.
Practice doesn't make perfect.
And speaking of
Perfect
practice and
practice.
classes, since we've actually, I can't believe how fast that time has flown because
Oh,
we're having
no.
so much fun on my
Yeah.
Lordy. You were teaching classes. Can you mention that before? So can you, for the people at home, what classes do you have coming up that you've been advertising?
Yeah, good. In June, I'm running a 1-day beginners tarot class, which is a lot of fun. It's intuitive tarot. We have a lot of fun with tarot. Tarot is not hard. Tarot is, people make it hard. It's quite easy. The key to tarot is connecting with your deck. Okay, so find the right deck of tarot cards. Make sure they've got 78 cards. That is a 1-day class. We do that. We have a lot of fun. I'm already half full. So there's 50% space available. So I'm doing the tarot class. I think it's in June. It's on my socials. You are clairvoyant. So actually, we've done this. You are clairvoyant. I've done it 3 times because I love it so much. This is the healing technique that I do every day of the week. Every day of the week. I'm teaching that, and that's fully booked. Okay, so I've full that class is full. It goes over 7 weeks, and I do 2 hours a week. If you're interested in that, bear in mind in 2025, I'm looking at hosting it in Bali for a week. We're going to do You Are Clairvoyant in Bali, a retreat for a week. I'm actually planning 2 retreats in 2025 in Bali. One of them is going to be like a rejuvenation, just to renew you. So if you're feeling run down and you feel like you're needing a good pep up and away from all the everyday life, everyday life bogs us down, we're going to have a renew retreat in Bali in 2025 where you're just going to come and practice some yoga and watch what you eat, but we're going to do healings on you. You're going to have massage, you're going to have facials, you're going to have all the stuff that you want without having to worry about, who's got the kids, who's got this, I don't have time, I've got to go do this, got to do that. No, it's just going to be a totally immersive experience. But You Are Clairvoyant will be in Bali next year as well. Wow. I am teaching Palawa over a weekend, Palawa levels 1 and 2. Love this stuff. I've practiced so much Palawa. People say, "What is that?" I can't explain it except it shifting consciousness. And when I've done level 3, what that's enabled the energy to do is it works faster. So I used to say to people, it would take about 2 weeks for it to kick in. Now it's a day or so. Let's go. Your life will start shifting very quickly as long as you're enabling it. You're wanting it to happen. So I've got a Palawa class. I've got You Are Clairvoyant. I've got Beginners Tarot. I'm also running in June a tarot refresh or a practice day. So I'm going to have for like a 3-hour afternoon session. Those that just want to come and practice their tarot skills with like-minded souls, we're going to do that as well. So you'll find all of those classes on the Mind to Moon Facebook page or Instagram page. Just reach out. I'm happy to answer any questions. And as I said before, if I'm not the teacher for you, I might be able to direct you to where your teacher might lie. I'm not the type of person that says, it's me. So no, it's not me. Let me help you find the right person for you so that you get the best outcomes for yourself.
That's right. And we all do that. It's nice.
We all share the love, and that's the best part. If we've
all referred people to each other and our communities, which is really nice.
Correct. And that's the key. That's the key. There are enough stars in the sky for us all. And if I'm not that fit for you and you want a hypnosis, well, Michael might be that fit for you. So I'm going to send you to Michael so you can go and try Michael, or Exie might be the healer that you're looking for. That's how it works, Trust. Absolutely. So there's a lot happening. I've been reading an amazing book too. Have you heard of Barbara Marciniak?
No.
Oh, Barbara Marciniak, she has my heart. She's a channel. She's been channeling for 40 years. She channels the Pleiadians.
Oh, wow.
Has a lot of wisdom. She is 75 years of age now, and she's in North America. And trying to have a session with her when I go in a few weeks' time.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
crossing everything because the lecture I was supposed to go to got cancelled. And I've said to them, no, I was coming just to come to the lecture. Now what's going to happen? So I'm trying to talk to
I
people.
wonder what's in store for you. If that's been cancelled, I'm excited.
Yeah,
And the thing was,
the universe knows. You just have to wait and see.
and that's exactly right, Exie. So it's in my highest good. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, the time's not right. It won't happen. But Barbara Marciniak, so this is called the family of light. So anybody that feels sometimes they're not connecting to this planet, there's a lot of wisdom. She's got a lot of wisdom. So she channels the Pleiadians. And the biggest thing that she's saying to us at the moment, because I buy her lectures every week, is we now need to show more discernment with what we're believing, with what we're listening to, with the pictures. You all saw it a few weeks ago when they put that picture out of Princess Catherine or Princess Kate. Remember they put out a picture with her and the kids? And it was doctored. The palace admitted it was a doctored picture.
Yeah.
So this is a classic example now of you can't believe everything you see. You've got to start learning how to discern with yourself, using your body. And people have forgotten the art of how to do that. So the simple thing that you can do and everybody can do is go and sit on the grass and then ask yourself some questions. Go and sit on the grass, turn the head off, come back to your heart space. Is this real? Is this really happening? Because we're coming into a stage of Earth this year where there's going to be lots of changes and it's going to throw a lot of people's belief systems. So we're heading into some really interesting times. And it's a really great time to be alive because it's going to be bang, let's go, let's shift this shit and let's get on with life. Do you know what I mean?
That's a t-shirt. Let's shift this shit.
Exactly.
All these Amanti Moon tours that are going to happen. It's going to have Amanti Moon tours on the front and on the back it's going to say, yeah, that's
correct. There's my catch cry. I love it.
Let's shift this shit.
But this is what it is because this is what Barbara says. So many people sit in fear with life. And her reasoning is if you're in fear, you've given away your power. So you can't think for yourself because you're sitting in a lower vibration. What we have to do as people is step back from why do I sit in fear? What is it that holds me in that place? Is it judgment? And most people, 9 times out of 10, it's what are other people going to think of me? And this is what we've got to start shifting with. Don't give a damn about what people think of you. As Exie was saying before, we all carry the same spark. We're all brothers and sisters. I don't care if you've got 2 heads. I don't care if you've got 3 feet. Are you happy with life? Good. You do you. I'm very happy for you. So there's a lot of stuff coming in 2024. It's going to be really interesting. So I just say to people, buckle up, enjoy, but learn to understand within yourself what's real and what's not real. If it doesn't feel real for you, don't accept it. Because you'll probably find later on there's 100 other people think, it's not real. It's not happening. It's really interesting. So this is a great time to be alive. So a lot of stuff's coming. What's that?
I think I know what you're talking about. There's like
so much. There's so much. Okay.
So you're saying pay attention.
Correct.
Basically.
Pay attention.
But take everything at face value.
Just pay attention.
Pay attention, but question everything.
Yeah.
That's the key. Pay attention to what's happening. Question everything. And then when you question everything, you just sit with, and I usually just say, how does this feel for me? Does it feel real? Does it not feel real? If it's not real, I just dismiss it. It's like, I don't believe it. I'm not giving it energy. If it feels real, I'll take that. See you later.
So you guys thinking alien stuff, is this where this is coming from? Because like Exie's like, oh no, is this, do you think so?
Maybe.
Look, it doesn't have to be alien stuff, but there's a lot of stuff going on that might rock people's beliefs this year. It's already starting to unfold. It's already starting to unravel, okay? So there's a lot of stuff coming that people are going to be challenged. And the hard part is for Exie, myself, and for you, Michael, all the healers out there, we have to try and hold space for people. And when these people's beliefs get crushed, they then don't know what to believe.
No, that's right.
And that keeps them in such a lower vibration that we've got to sort of say, come on, pull up your socks. Let's get on with it. That's exactly right. We're going to get you through it, but you've just got to do some of the work yourself to start working out what's real, what's not real. So that's why Barbara, I just love this woman, Barbara. She says to people, come back to nature. Nature is your living library. Come and meditate in a forest. Come out, go for a drive to the beach and just put your feet in the sand and ask the universe or the planet Earth questions. And you get your answers back as thoughts. And I'll often find when I'm in a stress mode or don't know where to go, don't know where to turn to, I'll go to nature, I'll go for a walk and I'll start throwing out questions. And then all of a sudden, about 10 minutes later, you get a thought. And the thought just changed the whole perception of what I was thinking, because it's like, do it this way, silly. You haven't seen that, but do it this way. So that's what they're saying. Start coming back to nature and get off the devices. The devices are
That's not paying attention, is it? Yeah.
Exactly.
I watched a gentleman. I was driving to work the other day, and I watched a gentleman walking up the street. He's got 2 little kids on push bikes. And what was he doing? Not enjoying the kids on a sunny day, having a chat with them. Look at these flowers. Look at the birds in the sky. Look at the clouds.
Yeah.
This is called the glass prison now. They call them the glass prison.
Yeah, that's so true. I see so I've got a new puppy, and she will sit and see a bird, and she'll stop and she'll just sit there and just stare at the bird. And she's such a good teacher, because I'm like, when's the last time I've sat and just looked at something without a name of what it is? It's like, this is an incredible creature that's now flying in the sky. It's like, yeah, it's a bird. There's birds everywhere. Like, you miss it. You're not paying attention to the miracles around you.
And that's the key. We have so many miracles every day: sunrise, sunset, and they're different every day.
How about waking up in the morning? You completely lost all of your consciousness. You went completely unconscious. All your consciousness went when you fell into deep sleep, not dream. When you went into a deep sleep, it's like your consciousness has completely left your body and your mind. So you're basically dead. And then you wake up and your consciousness is back. How did you know your consciousness will come back?
Yeah.
Perfect examples of how to easily find things to be grateful for when you think everything's going.
Correct.
Easy.
That's exactly what it is. That's what I say to people. Did you wake up this morning? When they're saying, woe is me, and I say to them, did you wake up this morning? Yes. And it's like, well, a lot of people didn't. So be grateful that you've got that. You've got another day to change your life. Oh yeah, if you come to me for a healing, expect to be poked, expect to get a slap, because I'm not taking anybody's pity party. Because if you're in pity party, you don't want to change. You're just wasting my time. If you're prepared to do the work, I'm prepared to help you.
Ditto. I love it. Oh.
It's a velvet slap, though.
And
it's a velvet slap. It's velvet.
Well, I set that intention to the universe. I said to the universe, please don't bring me customers that don't want to help themselves, because I don't have enough time.
That's
here.
my intention too. Don't bring them kicking and screaming. I only want to see them if they're ready, because I don't have time for that shit.
Correct, love. I'm the same. I don't want to play with people that just want to play. If you want to play, go to the kindergarten. But if you're ready to do the work and you're ready to really seriously want to change your life for the better, I'm ready to hold space for you. Let's go, baby.
No fluffiness here. I love it.
Yeah. Just be careful, because it's real.
That's the thing.
It's real stuff. You feel, you'll shift, you'll move. Yeah. It's uncomfortable, but sometimes it's amazing and just whatever. But anything valuable is going to be uncomfortable, at least.
Yeah. And that's where the growth is. As soon as you go into, I'm uncomfortable with something, there's growth straight away. It's like, yes, let's do this. And that's why I will not do a Palawa on somebody as their first consult, because if they're not ready for the shift that can happen, it can cripple their world. That really can change the world. So that's why Palawa I will do after I've done a healing. I'll suggest it to them. Consider this next time, because if you're feeling stuck, I can do this, but you've got to be ready to want to do it. If you're not ready, don't do it. It's interesting. But yeah, you're right, Exie, because there's not enough healers on the planet to hold space for people. So we can't be wasting our time with people that are playing games. No, we're here to help those that want to be helped.
We're not a circus trick. Well, some are. We're not a circus trick, but
That's
some
exactly
go
right.
thinking they're gonna, testing you and all that kind of. So I don't have time for that. Just what do you want to help with?
Correct.
Done. So change. Like the amount of times I said, I know it sounds really cliche, but this could be the first day of the rest of your life, and people's lives massively change in a session. And I know they will with you guys too. Like, they don't understand how big it is. Take it seriously. Like, it's your life.
That's it. And that's the thing. That's why I set that intention, because these people that are not possibly serious about it, they're holding an appointment that somebody else who was serious about it could have taken. Does that make sense?
Sounds like the opposite to a hustle to me.
Yeah, I'd rather not be busy.
It's like the opposite to a hustle.
Yes, I'd rather not be busy.
We're not trying to get anybody in. Yeah.
If the world's good, we're good. We can then just have joy, and we could be in celebration. We could have all the good stuff. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, awesome.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. So there's a lot of stuff. So, and look, I'm a Monty Moon. Message me if you've got questions. I'm happy to answer your questions. I sit on the couch sometimes, and I will just reply to people's answers or questions or whatever they got queries. I'm happy to do that for people, but you've got to want the help. You've got to be serious about changing your life.
I'm so annoyed we're at the end of our chat because it
I know.
just started with the alien bit, and I'm like,
No, we
I want a
didn't.
whole conversation about.
Let me give you a tip.
what's
Let me
going
give
on.
you a hint. They're already here.
Yeah, we know that.
They're already here. Have you not seen this? Have you not seen the ships in the sky?
I don't. Maybe I have, but
Have you not?
don't
Okay,
I'm looking
let
at
me
it.
ask
Obviously,
you
I'm
this.
not paying attention, Charles.
Have you not seen the clouds that you look really weird, as in you look like a galactic ship? Have you never seen those?
I haven't. They're not appearing to me.
Okay,
They're
start
not appearing
looking.
to me. Okay.
Start looking, because
Mhm.
you'll see them, because they sit behind the clouds. This all comes up in QHHC. How do you hide?
Right.
We sit behind the moon, or we sit behind the clouds. You can't see us. It's like, but you can see the clouds. Can you see the clouds? Yes. The clouds have funny shapes. There you go. There's something there. Look beyond.
Questions around that now. Like, oh my
Do you
gosh.
see them when you're in the plane, though? What about when you're in the plane and you're above the clouds?
Love that even more, because you can talk to them. It's like, yes, show me. Talk to them. I talk to the clouds. Think of it like this. Everything is consciousness. Everything.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
table that you're sitting on, or the
Yeah.
chairs you're sitting on, the top, everything is
Yeah.
consciousness.
Of course.
So you can talk to these things, and if they're on the same vibration as you, they'll show themselves to you, and they'll make themselves known.
Okay.
So not everyone will pick up.
Not everybody's going to pick it up, but people will think, oh, there's something special about that cloud. Just give it attention.
I've got the difference between extraterrestrial and interdimensional. Are they a bit of both? Also, and I just want to throw this in. So I'm not an alien person. I just think it's like, that's where you get to a point where, okay, you're in another section of people when you start talking about aliens. And it's like,
They're your
okay,
cousins.
cool.
What are you dissing them for?
But
Is it a good section of people? Is it a good section of people?
it's just another section of people that I'm not ready to be a part of. And but I'm saying this because I've had a lot of sessions where people have had experiences either as extraterrestrial beings or with extraterrestrial beings, and it's really frustrating because it's like I'm sitting there thinking, oh, piss off, not this again. But it's happening more and more. What I find interesting is when people connect with, say, the spirit world or like interdimensional stuff, there's a lot of kind of the empathy and chat and this sort of thing. And when it's like with the extraterrestrial stuff, it's just like really fairly, I don't know, just really frank answer questions. Not rude, but just not, necessarily caring and love it. Like you can tell it's something really different to that. They're just really just answer questions. Yes, it's this. Yep, don't worry about that. It's almost like they're in a hurry though. Like
Maybe
they're trying to get stuff.
Maybe they're matching your energy though.
Yeah.
Because if your
It's not
mind
me.
is saying,
It's not me. It's not me.
no, but what I'm saying
I'm
is,
not talking. I'm not even talking to them.
You're in the
no,
room.
but
They
if
know
your
what you're
mind
doing.
is saying, I don't want to talk to extraterrestrials, I'm not. They're
So-
probably
Oh, I'm
saying,
not saying that. I'm open to whatever.
okay.
I just don't want to be in those people. It's just I get dragged into, you just get dragged into stuff that you put it out there to the universe. Good luck. You're going to get dragged
See,
in.
that's exactly what I look for in my QHHT sessions.
Oh.
If I go to a galactic being, right, let's go, because they've got such wisdom that we don't have here. So I find the opposite, Michael. When I'm talking to a galactic being, they want to share their wisdom with me.
Oh, they share. They share.
go,
There's lots of
let's
stuff.
go.
It's just a different relationship.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course, because
Unless they're from that place where there's ETs and then they're at home. They feel like they're at home and this is amazing. And when they're not from there, it's just like really kind of informational stuff.
yeah.
Do you remember, Michael, what triggers you is what you need to work on? Like if it's triggering.
What do I need to work on?
No, like if something triggers you, it's a lesson for you. So it's something maybe to like learn a bit more about or open your mind to a bit more. Otherwise, you're going to keep getting this until you like just give in.
If I give in, then when I get more of it, when I see spaceships,
Maybe not. You just might look at it differently. Like if it triggers you, it's something.
It's really interesting.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because when I get an extraterrestrial life in a hypnosis, I never take them to death because I know that lifetime is still playing out.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens.
There's no start date. There's no end date. So I had one man, he did 3 of them. It's like, okay, you're here, you're here, you're here. Yeah. And he was doing them all concurrently. And it's like, so we didn't get to any death in that lifetime or any lifetime. And then we just brought in his higher self. It's like, why did you show him these galactic lives? Because he needs to see how powerful. People need to understand how powerful they are. people feel on this planet they don't have a voice. They can't do anything. They can't change anything. And that is so wrong, because they've got such amazing abilities. And we've got this amazing thing inside us called consciousness.
They're consciously here. That is
Yes,
so
and that's the
rare.
key.
It's
They're
so
consciously
rare.
here.
It's so powerful. It's
Yes,
so incredible.
Yes.
And it's so precious.
yes,
Even in the Vedic text, they talk about how the gods are jealous of people that can, the conscious beings, that bodies are just so rare to capture.
yes.
That's even for the gods, you know, they're talking about Krishna and all
And
that sort of stuff.
that's the key.
And here we are going, oh, just a person.
Yeah, and
You're
see,
consciously
yeah.
aware of yourself. This is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And that's the one power that we have over galactic beings and stuff like that, because they don't have that consciousness that we often have. And that's the power that we have, because if we all come together, like you said before, when people come together in the power of prayer without any expectation of what's happening, but they just set an intention, we're sending you this energy, do what you need with it.
It's incredible.
You can change things.
Yeah.
The power is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where this consciousness that we have as human beings is very powerful, and people need to understand that they've got that, and they can use that on a collective level to create change in the world.
Pay attention, people.
We kept
Things are
talking.
changing.
We need to do another one again. Like it's
Sorry,
season
I talk
3.
too much.
He's coming back.
We'll have you back, Charles. We need to do some
Yeah.
alien chat. Sounds good.
Oh my
And then
God.
I can work on my alien issues to embrace my Palladian. I don't think I'm Palladian. Embrace my whatever self.
It's really interesting. The Pleiadian, right? Have you heard of a Subaru motor car?
Yes, of course.
No.
Okay, good. What's the logo on the badge on the Subaru motor car?
It's is that the Palladian star
Yeah, it's like
constellation?
the
You're
star of
kidding me, is
stars.
it? So Palladians drive Subaru Outbacks?
So the Subaru, the star, it's 6 stars, okay? Because the Japanese believe the Pleiadians have a 7th star, but it's invisible. So there are 6 stars on the badge.
Okay.
So your Subaru is indicative of the Pleiadians. It's here. So it's in more places than you actually realize.
I have had a couple of Subarus and they were great cars. So
Yeah.
I can speak at least to the Palladians cars.
Yeah.
They've done a great job. The Boxer engine is fantastic.
There you go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Thank you so much, Charles. We have to wrap it up. We're
You're
quite
welcome.
about time. It's past our bedtime, surely.
Yes.
And
And
past
thank you.
yours.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank
I love
you.
it. So we
What
always
a
have a good
beautiful
chat.
way to come back into podcast land, because we've had a break. And yeah, this is such a fun way to get back into it. I really appreciate it. Yay.
You're more than welcome.
That's
Thank
it
you.
for another episode, but that doesn't have to be the end of the conversation.
Feel free to leave your comments on our YouTube channel, or for those podcast listeners, you can email us at mickandthepsychic@gmail.com to leave your feedback or questions.
I'm a certified hypnotherapist and timeline regression therapist. If you wish to contact me to explore the source of an issue you're facing, just book a session at hearnhypnosis.com.au and include the promo code MATP for 10% off. You can contact me on Insta and Facebook at hearnhypnosis.
Check out my website at optimisticxavier.com.au if you feel you'd like to connect with me as a psychic medium, spiritual mentor, or intuitive coach. Include the promo code MATP for 10% discount. You can also find me on Insta, LinkedIn, and Facebook.
We look forward to connecting with you again next time as we attempt to leave no stone unturned.
Bye.
All right, cool. I reckon that should be okay.